Welcome back, everyone. Okay, let's just jump right into this explainer. So today we're tackling something absolutely fascinating. Something that might seem, incredibly abstract at first glance, but is actually super practical once you've got the right key. We're unpacking the Sephirah Da'at. Now, if you've spent any time studying the Tree of Life, you know Da'at. It's always whispered about, right? The great mystery, the hidden sphere, the dark abyss. But today, we're taking a totally different approach. We are looking at this not as some lofty abstract philosophy, but as a literal practitioner's manual. I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step guide to translate that massive cosmic architecture of Da'at into actual, actionable steps for your everyday practice.
Okay, so here's our quick syllabus for today. Section 1, we're looking at the map of the abyss. Section 2, comparing energy densities. Section 3, anatomy of the symbols. And finally, Section 4, daily practice and systematizing chaos. Let's get into it.
Starting off with Section 1, the map of the abyss. To kick off our self-directed learning here, we really need to orient ourselves first. Take a look at how Da'at is illustrated. Notice how it's not drawn as a standard, solid sphere like all the others. It's actually shown as a dotted line, a massive abyss and a veil. According to our sources, this abyss acts as a giant wall separating the supernal triad, that highest divine consciousness of Kether, Chakma, and Bina, from the rest of creation. It literally divides the incomprehensible thoughts of the Creator from the manifested world we actually live in. It's the ultimate gap between the ideal and the manifested.
Now, as a beginner, you hear the word abyss and you probably just picture an empty, dark void, right? Well, actually, scratch that. You need to understand it as something intensely active. The sources literally describe Da'at as a cosmic wormhole. It's this high-voltage point of connection between our Tree of Life and the Klipoth, those alternative, shadowed spaces of reality. Think of it less like a black hole and more like a high-speed bridge. Or, better yet, a massive computer reboot system for your consciousness. When you enter Da'at, you aren't just floating around in nothingness. You are stepping into a major gateway for profound energetic transitions.
Moving right along to Section 2, comparing energy densities.
So let's see how Da'at builds on what we already know by comparing its unique vibe to the rest of the tree. The really crucial point here is getting a feel for these different densities of energy. For example, our sources point out that working with Malkuth is kind of like being a physical craftsman. You're using your hands, your will, to literally shape reality. And working with Had, super structured, highly logical, it's all about studying textbooks, nailing down rituals, memorizing correspondence tables. But Da'at is a whole different ballgame. It is completely boundless and entirely paradoxical. You don't do a rigid, structured ritual in Da'at. Nope. Instead, it requires you to completely surrender control. It asks you to let magic just flow through you infinitely by stepping back and acting purely as a passive inner observer. It is literally the difference between carefully, meticulously building a staircase and just taking a terrifying, thrilling jump.
All right, Section 3, anatomy of the symbols. So now that we've got a handle on how that energy actually feels, we need to decode the visual language. Here we have the specific keys to this realm. The central sigil of Da'at, sitting right alongside the distinct seals of its three primary emissaries, Deglay, Amaya, and Tricklay. Now look, if you're relatively new to this specific framework, don't let these complex geometric seals freak you out. In a practitioner's manual, we aren't just here to stare at pretty symbols, we're here to use them. We're going to break down these emissaries into highly functional, working gears in a machine.
Let's look at this matrix of synthesis as your step-by-step mechanical manual. The sources actually call these emissaries the equalizers, and their entire job is to process your consciousness straight through the abyss. It's a three-step mechanism. First, Deglay flips the switch. This inverts the energy, reversing your polarity from positive to negative, and completely dissolves the boundaries of your mind. Then, Amaya steps in as the receptacle. She basically clears your cache, washing away all your personal history so you're sitting in the state of perfect empty balance. And finally, Tricklay is the explosive spark. Tricklay comes in to completely deconstruct whatever old forms are left and physically pushes you out the other side into a totally new state of being. Flip the switch, clear the cache, ignite the spark. Boom.
Which brings us to Section 4, daily practice and systematizing chaos.
Okay, now that we've got the macro, big picture view of this cosmic machine, let's zoom way in. Let's translate this into the micro, your everyday habits. The secret sauce here is developing mindfulness through what the sources call the inner observer. Look, when your life gets absolutely chaotic, tuning into Da'at means taking a step back and just peacefully witnessing the flow of events. The texts describe it as a voluntary obsession with whatever is happening right now, without trying to micromanage every little detail. If you're feeling totally overwhelmed, you just watch that energy flow right through you. You observe the beauty of the present moment, even if it's a total mess. This passive witnessing, that's your anchor. It detaches you from the emotional panic and drops you right into the eye of the storm.
Now, this is super interesting. The sources actually tied this profound energy directly to Arcanum 11, which is the universal tarot archetype of the law of justice. Now, Dot itself is inherently chaotic, right? But Arcanum 11 teaches us that applying law is what helps us systematize that chaos. Think about it. We all operate under a magical contract. These are the deep, often totally unconscious rules and beliefs we picked up growing up about how the world is supposed to work. Working with Dot and Arcanum 11 means waking up to the fact that you can actually rewrite that contract. You can apply a brand new, conscious structure to help you navigate and organize the totally boundless energy of your life.
So, let's apply this practically to something literally all of us face, a horribly chaotic workday. Try this exercise out. Step 1. Step back into your inner observer. Look at your terrifying to-do list objectively, without the panic. Just look at it. Step 2. Identify the chaos. What old, inefficient habits are actually causing this stress? Step 3. Apply Arcanum 11 by creating a localized law. Just decide right then and there, you know what? For the next hour, I am only answering emails. Period. Nothing else. Step 4. Channel that Shriki-lay energy we talked about a minute ago to just completely deconstruct and drop your old multitasking anxiety. And finally, step 5. Step into that new workflow. It's basically a mini quantum leap in productivity happening right at your desk, all powered by the underlying mechanics of the abyss. How cool is that?
I absolutely love this quote from the source text because it perfectly captures why all of this matters. Studying the Sephirah isn't just about nerding out over a map of the universe, and it certainly isn't just dry intellectual philosophy. It's about giving yourself actual permission to radically transform your daily reality. Every single time you consciously choose to let go of an old, stressed-out version of yourself and step into a new, organized workflow, you are taking that existential jump. You are literally allowing the explosive birth of a new quality of spirit.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this final thought to ponder. We've mapped the abyss, we've decoded the seals, and we've learned how to systematize the chaos. But the ultimate step, that's entirely on you. Take a hard look at your life right now. What rigid, outdated structures, beliefs, or habits are just sitting there waiting to be completely dissolved by the abyss today so that something new can finally be born? Take a deep breath, step back into that inner observer, and seriously, don't be afraid to take the leap. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next time as we keep unlocking the structures of our reality.